Welcome back to LimQ Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until the sequel Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which is today in 53 days. What I prepared today, just because it makes sense, is a little bit of a commentary, specifically on how to do Eventide Island fast. This is actually pretty interesting because the strats for Eventide Island have drastically transformed over the years from basically collecting the most useful equipment and doing it fairly casually to something pretty wild. But before we get there, we need to get this shrine, the Korok seed in this area, and then also one Korok seed that I've previously forgotten. If you missed it, we have now officially breached the 90% barrier, which means in around 15 to 20 days, when Tears of the Kingdom is pretty much a month away, we'll probably be done with this 100% endeavor. And I've already been collecting some ideas from you guys on what to do next. And some of you wanted me to talk more about Tears of the Kingdom, which makes sense because I understand why tutorials for this game are not that interesting anymore, with the sequel being so close, but obviously it gives me something to talk about, and a lot of you still care about this game and think it's interesting. And this today will not really be a tutorial. Some of these threads are not very easy, but I think it's still pretty interesting, mainly just to showcase how the threads have changed over the years. Eventide Island is, for most people, a very memorable experience. Also, don't blame me for sounding a little bit tired today. I'm recording this video fairly early. My brother is visiting me today, and you know how it is with these daily videos. Sometimes I just have to squeeze them in there, so this is basically the first thing I'm doing today, and this just helps me to get another video out. Now once we are here, and usually you in speedruns you would usually go to Eventide Island from the shrine over there, either with a BLSS, a slide, or a chain of wind bombs. I'm gonna go for the BLSS just to show you how it works from basically reaching the island. Now, in case you still haven't heard what BLSSs are, I'm just gonna go over every single strat I'm doing. Essentially, they're using the bow lock, which is a glitch where Link is stuck with his bow in his hand, to make Link slide, and then specific movements with the stick. And because Link is holding a bomb, the hitbox of this bomb is basically constantly pushing him in this sliding state. Now, Eventide actually has an extremely high chance to have thunderstorms when you go there at night, so you have to be a little bit more careful. Now, one thing you also need to be careful about is when you blow up this bomb here, that you are definitely out of the bomb's blast radius. Otherwise, the bomb may catapult you onto the island, and then you are in trouble. Now, the thing with Eventide is, the second you touch the ground, the island challenge will begin. So what I usually do is I wind bomb onto the island. And now the funny thing is, even if you do touch the Hinox, this counts as actually touching the ground. But just before I touch this Hinox, I'm gonna shoot a single arrow onto the ground. Why will I do this? You'll see. But then I just carefully land onto the Hinox. Now, you probably already know this, but when you usually start Eventide Island, the game will strip all of your equipment from you. This means bows, normal items, everything, but a couple things are not actually strapped away from you, and we will be using those most of the time as we go throughout the island. Now, the reason I shot down an arrow is so that I can go into bullet time once I pick up a bow. Thankfully, there's actually a bow right next to me. I don't know if you can see it yet, but it's on the Hinox. So by going over here, grabbing the weapon and the bow from the Hinox, we now have full equipment and can actually pick up our arrow again, steal the orb, and then make our way back up to the first camp. So there's 3 camps in Eventide. One, you have to bring a Hinox orb there. Another one is kind of on the water. And the last one is in a big enemy encampment. And the game usually wants you to basically go around Eventide and become strong again before you approach any of these camps. But I already talked about the fact that the game doesn't actually get rid of all of your equipment. And what I mean by that is that the game doesn't get rid of your key items. Thankfully, the champion abilities in this game are considered key items, so you can actually make great use of things like Obose's Fury. Look here, Obose's Fury essentially clears this entire camp, and we can then take our orb over here and finish the first of the challenges. Now, one thing you always need to be careful about, and I have definitely learned that the hard way, is that these boxes here can contain electric choo-choo. So when you move them aside, I tend to be pretty careful to not unintentionally break this barrel and have another electric choo-choo spawn on me. And then place the first orb into the pedestal. Now thankfully this first monster camp also features a potlet, which all we need it for is just having a shield in general to perform one of the next tricks. And then usually you wind bomb, and I'm assuming most of you guys are familiar with wind bombs, over here to the second camp, specifically the second orb. Now it looks like the night is ending, so we might actually get away without any thunderstorms here, which is nice. That gives us a little bit more of a clear vision as we do the island. Now, I'm going to be performing another BLSS, but this time with this orb. And this orb likes to roll away. So what I like to do is I like to go to this tree stump here, place it onto the ground, and kind of block the orb with Link before it rolls away. Then set up the BLSS and then jump up onto this tree from a specific angle. This one can be a little bit finicky. Looks like I got it here. And then BLSSs are a little bit weird to control with anything that's not a bomb, so you have to be careful. I usually don't go for wiggle strategies and instead go for these spins. And then once I'm over this island, I jump, and that's terminal number 2. Done. For terminal number 3, like I said, it's usually in case in a huge monster camp. I need to be careful here because I don't have the mini-map to make sure that these wind bombs work out. This is again why I have smuggled the arrow onto the island instead of a bow. Because a bow we can simply grab, but arrows are pretty RNG when it comes to Eventide. And now, unfortunately, I did not get a good mid-air wind bomb here, which usually I would try to get. And instead we'll use Rivali's Scale. Now, one thing that's really interesting with this enemy encampment is that this really shows how the camera works in Breath of the Wild. If you don't have your camera on something, essentially it won't fully exist. This is a very common trend in video games. It's used a lot in strats for games like Mario Odyssey. So as soon as I stasis this platform here, I make sure to look away. This will make it so that the Bokobans are now basically not, like, they don't know that I'm here. And I can just simply place the orb, they won't bother me, and I can finish Eventide Island. This is a pretty effective, fast way to do Eventide Island using all of the current speedrunning strats that I kind of wanted to go over and explain. Now, if you ever watch an Eventide Island speedrun, there's some pretty cool strats that you wouldn't see in a normal, long speedrun that happens to also do Eventide Island, like all shrines, 100% of all quests, because those strategies are too difficult. But if you watch somebody just speedrun this island, they will go for every single strat. And one super cool strat is that, for example, for the orb that I had BLSS'd over the entire island, there's a very specific bomb arrow shot you can do. It's not even a bomb arrow shot, actually, no, you just place a bomb next to the orb in a specific position and then blow up the bomb, and it will literally catapult the orb right to that island. So you don't have to do the BLSS, you can just wind bomb there and get it into the pedestal. I highly recommend checking out an Eventide Island speedrun on speedrun.com, where they just do the island itself. It's really cool. But yeah, that's all I wanted to do today. We are almost at 91%. Again, I didn't get much done today because I was mostly focused on commentary. And again, I'm pretty busy today. Still have to go to the gym and then pick up my brother from the train station. But I think that was still interesting enough. I hope you learned something new. And if not, that's fine too. I will be doing another video tomorrow when it's 52 days until Tears of the Kingdom. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your weekend.